What's going on, guys? Welcome to this video with me, Ross-rfx. In this video we are going to be covering our 5-minute range strategy. We're going to be covering all the key points, the do's, the don'ts, and then we're going to walk you through some of the entries that have been offered to us over the last few weeks. So let's jump straight into this, guys. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through some of the key points here on the German 30 5-minute range system. Now you can use the same rule sets, same principles, everything that we are going to show you on whatever pair you like. Of course, probability and consistency is going to change because we have predominantly tested this on the German 30 index. So overall, whatever pair you decide to use this on, if you even decide to use it, of course, make sure you do your testing and, of course, always use the same appropriate risk. So let's jump straight into this. First things first, 5-minute ranges are very simple. So we're just going to write some text up here very quickly. The 5-minute range is 5-minute range rule set. Now this is rule set V1, okay? Because it's version 1 of our rule set. Now we are putting to everybody, whether you're watching this on YouTube, whether you're watching this on Discord, whether you're watching this on TikTok, wherever it may be, we are putting to you to take this rule set that we're about to give you and then come to our Discord community with the information and the data that you have found to help us develop the V2 version of this. Now this V1 rule set is already consistent and profitable as it stands, but as always, things can be perfected and things can be improved. So we are counting on you guys to collect mass data so that we can have a vast spectrum of different traders, different time zones, different pairs, different management systems, different risk, all accumulating into V2, which will become a much more efficient version of what we already have here. So I look forward to developing it to that. But that's enough about what we want to do. Let's show you what we are doing. Okay, so right now the 5-minute range rule set has some very basic principles. Okay, we are using 5-minute structure. Okay, 5-minute structure to define a given investment. Now that investment is going to be major order flow on a given time frame. Okay, so 5-minute structures are going to give you your overall stop loss and TP. Now, when we identify a 5-minute structure, a 5-minute range, if you were, we need to define the following points. Now, these points are a clear POI with FVG or an imbalance, so fair value gap or an imbalance, okay? And this is going to be a clear indication that there is orders within this range, meaning that this range is likely to be rebalanced. Not always, but it's going to show you that, okay? The next step is we must have 2.5 RR minimum. Reason for this is because we have a couple of factors again to really bring into this. Spread is always going to be a factor unless you're using a completely raw spread account, which not many of them are. Completely raw spread account is the only way for you to fully get the most out of these. But of course, even if you have, you know, a 100-point spread, 50-point spread, 200-point spread, you can still trade these 5-minute ranges as long as you equate for stop loss, commissions, etc. So you must have a 2.5 RR setup to be able to trade this. Okay. If that is not applicable, then it's not going to be a valid range. Okay, so far we're looking for a 5-minute structure, so high and low, to create a range. We're looking for a clear POI with a fair value gap. Okay, so very simple, a range with a POI that is unmitigated, and this range must equate to 2.5 RR minimum. Okay, very simple. And of course, we must think about comms, so commissions, spread, and news. Now, the reason I put these together is because these are external factors that we cannot change. Okay, these are external factors that we can't change. The commissions are going to be a set price depending on what broker you are. Spreads are going to be a set spread depending on, again, what broker you're with. And overall news is going to affect whether we enter or exit a position. Okay. So apart from that, there is literally no other criteria that needs to be met. We are going to walk you through the system as we go through. But overall, there is no other criteria that needs to be met. It's all a case of being systematic and entering and exiting where you are told. There is no partial taking, there's no break evens, there is a stop loss, and there is a TP. You either hit one or the other, okay? So again, this is a great system if you are an emotional trader, because these are set a limit, leave it. Set a limit, leave it. And there is no in between. The only time you intervene is if there is news or if we hit our time frame. Now that is another point that we need to cover, which is kind of separate to this, but these points of information, or these rules that we've just covered here, have to be established within a given time zone. Now for me, it's 9:30 GMT, so AM, to 6:30. I don't even here 6:30 GMT. Okay, so 9:30 till 6:30 is the time that I've been testing this in. Okay, if we have a setup before 9:30, we don't take it. If we have a setup after 6:30, we don't take it. If we haven't hit TP when it hits 6:30, we close out. So on and so forth. Okay, if we have a setup that's about to tap in, it's nearly 6:30, we don't take the trade. Okay, so we make sure that we're sticking to these. So again, very simple rules. Note them down. We're going to go down to the chart here in a second, and we're going to show you the setups that we have been taking over the last few weeks, and then we are going to give you all essentially everything you need, like we've already given you the rules here, to go and test this yourself. Okay, go and test this yourself. We've had amazing results over the last 2 weeks. We've actually opened this channel up in our Discord to the public, so if you are one of those members that have been trading it, let us know down below what you think of the system. Typically, the first half of this week that we've opened it up to the public, we haven't actually had any tap-ins, and then one of the tap-ins was during news, and then the other one got cut off short because of our cut-off point, which is typical, but we might leave it open for 2 weeks so you guys get a chance to profit off that at all. But that's enough of me going on about that. Let's go down to the actual chart section here, and we'll walk you through the setups that we have had over the last 2 weeks or so. Right guys, so here we are on the DAX index, or the German 30, German 30, Ger 40, DAX 40. There's many different variations, but they're all pretty much the same. So as long as your trading view chart you're using matches up with your brokerage chart, that is the main element, okay? Because obviously your markups on TradingView are going to change to your entry and exit on your meta. So make sure that is staying the same, okay? Make sure it's the same pair, same pricing at the same time. Now, we are going to show you now Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from last week, as we had pretty much a trade every single day. This week, so far, we haven't really had that many entries, so there's not going to be much to cover if we do go through it. So, the main thing to keep in mind is we are only going to avoid a range if it is any of the following. Now, I do recommend you all to take notes during this, because at the end of the day, if you are already profitable and consistent, do whatever it is you're doing. Don't worry about this sort of strategy. It's whatever you want. If you're not, you have an opportunity here to test something that has been proven profitable over the last month plus, live forward testing the data that we back tested for over a month. So please do take the time to take notes and test this. So Monday came around, okay, so you can notice that we have our blue line right here, which is at 9 a.m. It should be a little bit further forwards, but it doesn't really make a huge difference. 9 a.m. and then 6:30 right here. Now this is our no trading before this period, no trading after this period. Now we normally do allow a small buffer. So we are going to sort of have a area like this, for example, where we are going to say, look, we're tapping near this area now. What is the probability of our trade being tapped in and going into profit before a cutoff? If it's unlikely, don't risk it. You know, there's no point risking it. So overall, Monday came in and we had a bearish movement from open. And you'll see that we break the last structural low, which is a 5-minute low right here. Until that point, we only have partial body closes below. We look for full body closes to confirm a break of structure. And you'll see here that we put in a high and we put in a low. So you can see again, on the 5-minute chart, we have a clear imbalance below our order block. We have a clear impulsive move with a break of structure. Okay, so we have a fair value gap. We have a 5-minute high. We have a 5-minute low. So we have our stop loss, TP, and our entry. Okay. Now, when it comes to the stop loss, you are going to need to give space above. Okay. Now, you can see here, on average, above the high, around, I'd say between 300 and 500 points I give for a gap. And you can see here the same thing, 333 points. So between 300 and 500 points gap from your high of your range. Now you can see the first trade of the week, we had a reaction off of here, and then unfortunately we pushed bullish and we took a 1R loss. Now 1R represents whatever it is that you're willing to risk within these trades, whether it's 10%, 1%, 0.1%, you know, whatever percentage is, it's down to what the risk reward ratio is overall, because the risk that you take is down to the individual, whether it's, like I say, 1%, 20%, whatever it may be. Everybody's different, but the results will remain consistent as long as you risk the same amount each time. So you can see that this range overall only partially went in our direction. Now, like I say, you're going to see these losses and you may look at this and go, well, I could have gone break even there, this and the other. This is why we're giving you the V1 rule set, so you can take it and say, well, I don't like this, this and this. You can adjust it and then test that way to see if it works better. This is the bare bones, basic rule set for profitable trading within this system, okay? So take it and adjust it and bring the data back to us and we can improve it and make it even better. So, the next range given, you can see that we took out this high right here. We took this out, which means this is our low. Let me get this out of the way. It means this is our low right here. And we pushed high. You can see we don't form a high until here, right? So follow this back. We have a fair value gap here. Now we could have, again, had this off of the low if we wanted to, which would have improved the RR a little bit. But we didn't. We ran it off of that candle itself from the 50%. Now the reason for that is because we had a small volume imbalance here and a small volume imbalance here. So we said, well, this candle is looking good for our entry. We gave a small gap below our 5-minute low and we aimed for the high. Now you will notice here that our TP is slightly higher than the 5-minute range high. Now why is that? Well, as many of you know, if we have a 5-minute range high, if we don't break it, we don't full body close above it, we are only testing it. So in this case, whenever you see this, whether you're selling or buying, if you wick above the high, you can move your target to that wick. Okay? And it's an extended TP, but that is where the final target will be. So we lost 1R here. We gained 4.3R here. Now we are rounding these down. Again, we're rounding them down because if you can round down profits and keep the losses as 1R and the system still ends up being profitable, then with commissions, spreads, slippage, whatever any of the other factors are, you can be consistent with it, okay? So always remember that when you're backtesting, it always helps just to knock a couple of 0 points off of your TPs, because worst case is you're going to make more. Yeah, I mean, you've got nothing to lose by doing that. It gives you more realistic results. So we took TP there, and that pretty much wrapped up Monday for us. We had a new range given out here. You can see where we're looking for an entry there. Never got down to it. We played higher, had a new range. By this time, we were getting too close to the end of the day, so we're getting ready to cut off. So 3.3R total for Monday. Again, very, very simple system. Okay. Now we're going to ignore all price action within the out of trading times, which is 6:30 GMT until 9:30 AM GMT. Now bear in mind, this is the time frame that I have chosen to trade. You can choose whatever time frame you would like to trade for your desired country, or whatever time you like to trade. You decide. Again, this is why we're giving you this rule set, so you can test it. Some time frames it might not work on. It might not work during Asia. It might not work during the latter half of New York. This could be the only time period it works. Now, the reason why it does work during this time period is because this is the highest liquid part of the market and part of the day. So this is why we've chosen as well to do these times. Now, Tuesday, you can see that we consistently create sell side ranges that just consistently keep getting broken and broken and broken. We don't have a tap in here. We don't have a tap in here, here. Okay. Now you'll notice, well, hang on a minute, you didn't take a loss down here. But remember one of the key rules. Key rules being you must have a minimum of 2.5R to be able to take the trade. Now, if we come down here and look at this, now we want to give what? A couple of 100-point gap, and then our target is going to be the low. So the risk reward on that range is 1.4. So we're not going to trade that range. It's untradeable. And in this case, there's a reason why it's untradeable. And you will see that this is a general rule of thumb that happens a lot. When these ranges are too small and not adequate, it's normally your indicator range, which is going to essentially break up, and it's changed your direction now. So we had our first range right here after a break structure. Clear 5-minute POI at the base with fair value gap. We didn't tap back in. We broke higher. We created a new range. Again, too small. We couldn't get the RR, so that is this to this. Okay, this high to this low. Couldn't get the RR, and there also was not a very clear 5-minute POI. So nothing, it doesn't add up, so we're not going to trade it, right? Then we expanded heavily and broke higher. Now we had a new order block at the base. We actually refined this on a lower time frame, which you can do. Again, something that you can choose to do. We had our TP. Stop loss, we gave a gap at the base, and you'll see here that it is a 355-point gap at the base there. And we also have an extended TP because we wicked above our high. And that gave us 4.4R. So again, for the day, we rounded down 0.1 point. 4.3 RR for the day. So pretty good, right? Following the same basic rules. We let that run to TP. Again, we were very close to cutting it off before TP, but it got there in the end, which is perfect. So same thing applies. We're going to ignore all of this price action within here. And we're going to go to our next day. And our next day was a total of 1.9. And this was Wednesday. You can see opening straight off the bat, we have a bullish range. This went straight to stop loss, which again, it happens. It's one of those things. Bearish range with no tap in. We then had a bearish range again, which gave us 3R with, again, we're not going to keep explaining all the points, but you can see the clear POI, the gap above the 5-minute high, the 5-minute low is the target, and we tapped in. It was close to tapping us out here because of spread, but we didn't get tapped out because our spread's reasonably tight. This is why we give the 300-point gap, because nobody has a spread of 300 points. And if you do, I would maybe assess what pairs you're trading. And then we TP'd. Perfect. So we took 1R loss, and then we took a win, giving us 1.9 RR for the day. Again, people have said, the RR is not great, this, that, and the other. But if you have another way of making 1.9R in the day, and then 4.3R the day before, and 3.3R the day before, then just trade that system. Just trade that. Don't worry about ours. And again, over here, this is all in between price action that we're not worried about. We now have Thursday. Now, Thursday was a high impact news day, and we had a very large range. We traded this all the way up till our 30-minute news buffer. Now, when it comes to news, I hope a lot of you haven't skipped off this video yet. When it comes to news, you need to give a 30-minute news buffer, okay? So 30 minutes before news, cancel out your order. 30 minutes after news, enter your order back in. So you're giving an hour collectively for news to come in and go. Now here you'll see that we tapped in. we pushed up into profit, and it was at this point that I put an announcement out to the Discord saying, I'm getting out with a small profit. I don't want to be involved during news. If you want to put your stop to break even, if you believe it's going to go TP, then do so. But be careful, because we all know you can have your stop loss at break even and still take a loss. Yeah. So you have to give a 30-minute news buffer. We had an extended TP on this because we wicked the high. And exactly see why we protected it. We had a news spike down, and then price shot off to the TP. So for that day was a 0R. We could even count it as a -1, but let's be honest, if you trade for news, you're gambling. Let's not beat around the bush, okay? So 0R for Thursday, and then last but not least, Friday, and we had a beautiful sell range with a tap in straight to TP. This one we gave a slightly larger gap above our high because we had a collection of equal highs within here, so we didn't want to see those swept and then price drop away. So we gave a little bit more room just to assure that we didn't incur a liquidity sweep. So lovely free R there, and then we had another setup right here which was very close to tapping in outside of our hours, but overall 3R for Friday, 0R for Thursday, 1.9 for Wednesday, 4.3 for Tuesday, and 3.3 for Monday. Now we have the week before, which was pretty much the same, and we have the week that we're just taking right now, which again we are still running as a profitable week. Hardly profitable because we haven't really had any entries, but it's profitable nonetheless. So please take this overall trading system and apply it to whatever pair you want to apply it to, and see how it works for you. Overall, if you have any questions, drop me an @ in Discord and ask me the question. But apart from that, guys, I hope this has been a simple and useful video for you. I look forward to seeing what your test results are for this, because at the end of the day, guys, the simpler system you can get with consistent results, the easier your life as a trader is going to be. So like I say, guys, hit that like button. Appreciate this love and support that we always get from these videos. So share this with your friends, join the Discord down below, and of course, trade safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.